right, hello and welcome to episode 28 of Diggs.sideline.podcast. As always, we are your hosts. I am Sam DeCosmo.
And my name is Patrick Alonia.
Pat, it is week 15 already in the NFL, and the Vikings are headed out to sunny Los Angeles to play the Chargers.
As the weeks go by, believe it or not, I just get sadder and sadder.
I know, I do too.
The offseason, when there's no football in life, I feel a little dead inside.
I feel so empty inside. I know.
You know what meme just came through my head? It's that one from Narcos. It's you know the
Pablo Escobar
where he's just like sad and he's like on the swings. That's how the offseason feels.
Dude, I know. Like, I remember last offseason they were running a story about like, oh, Kirk Cousins still drives his van to practice, and it's like, I don't care about Kirk Cousins' van.
That's what the offseason turns into.
It's like whatever. Anyway, so Vikings are traveling to Los Angeles, and it's going to be a pretty good game.
Yeah, if anybody is resting easy,
don't
go to confession and pray to God and get yourself fixed, because this won't be an easy game.
You know what, Pat? You know, when we were going into our Seahawks week, you and I were both like, you know what? I feel pretty good about it.
And this week we're like, no. If there's ever a time for the Vikings to mess up, it's right now.
Dude, we honestly we can't. So
I know we can't. Yeah.
I was messing around on the ESPN has this cool little, go check it out. They have this cool little playoff picture engine, and you can go through. They have all of the games for all of these last 3 weeks, and you can select who's going to win and lose between all 32 teams for all 3 weeks, and it's great because they. So you can go in and select who wins, and it'll show you how the playoff picture shakes out, and it's super interesting. So I'll spare everyone the gritty details, but basically I have the Packers losing to the Bears and losing to the Vikings and then beating the Lions, and then I have the Vikings winning out. If that situation were to happen and the Rams beat the 49ers in week 16, the Packers actually miss the playoffs. So there's
so many scenarios that could go down.
It's just so much fun. But on the flip side, if the Vikings lose to the Packers and the Rams beat the 49ers and the Vikings miss the playoffs, so it's just there's still so much on the table, and it's just so much fun. If you go check it out if you're bored, it's a fun little tool.
And for anyone who hasn't caught on, usually the first 15 minutes of the show is going to be the matchup that we're heading into or finishing up with, and then diving into the playoffs.
Sure,
the playoff
picture.
Because the matchups and everything.
How can you just not talk about it?
Right. So should we dive into the Chargers? So
let's dive into it.
Like we do. We usually don't talk about it beforehand because we just want this to be an authentic, conversation.
Yeah.
Sam kind of dove more into the Chargers-Broncos game.
Right. So I want to,
and I did more of the Chargers-Jags game, and we both have points from both.
And we actually didn't, Pat, this is why we're such a good podcast mates. We didn't even talk about that beforehand.
We didn't.
My philosophy was I want to watch a game where it's a little bit more competitive, because that's where you can see the true character of a team. When a team is blowing another team out, it's hard to garner. But
that's fair.
But to that point, it's like, how did they get to that point? What worked in order to develop that blowout against the Jacksonville Jaguars?
And before I forget here, I didn't actually realize that it was 45-10, that Jags game. I knew it was high scoring, but I didn't realize it was that bad.
It's a blowout.
Anyways, do you want to just kind of give some nuggets on the Broncos game?
The Broncos game, it was... Dude, it was
or you know what?
a wild roller coaster.
Can we actually quick do this?
Yeah.
Can we quick talk about the Chargers team?
Yeah.
Because absolutely. I just feel like we should do that, and then we can dive into the game.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because Chargers have some
playmakers.
Paper, they have an extremely stacked team, in my opinion.
They have some playmakers.
Yeah.
What really scares me is when they have a formation where they have both Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler in the backfield.
I want to quick do a hot take.
Yeah.
Austin Eckler is better than Melvin Gordon, and that's why they didn't pay Melvin Gordon.
I wouldn't argue with that point.
That guy is so good.
You know what? I agree. And watching the Broncos game, I'm not sure how the Chargers or how the Jacksonville game.
I got some stats on that one. But Eckler can do it both out of both backfield and as a pass catcher.
Right, which is interesting because Melvin Gordon, he came out of the draft from Wisconsin pretty highly rated.
Yeah.
He has the body type of a Dalvin Cook,
Yep.
Like it seems like he has all the physical attributes, but I think just for their scheme, they need the shiftier guys.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And I think it's because their offensive line isn't that great.
Right.
They can't make those big holes that a big north-south guy can get down.
Yep.
They need somebody shiftier to get to the outside.
And Eckler is a little smaller and he's quicker. He's got more agility.
But still, both of those, that is a fierce two-headed monster.
Right.
And then you have Keenan Allen catching balls.
Keenan Allen, yes.
You know who else was catching balls for them, specifically against the Broncos game? Somebody I'd never heard of, Mike Williams.
Oh, no. He's not new. I think he's been plagued by some injuries.
dude.
But he is really good.
He caught some incredible
he is
balls.
good. He's had injuries over the past couple of years. But
so you have 2 phenomenal wide receivers,
right?
2 phenomenal running backs, and a future Hall of Fame quarterback in Phil Rivers.
Yep.
This team, and Paul Allen said this, so I'm not going. You know, I'll credit him.
Right.
But this is probably the best 5-8 team in the NFL.
Right.
You know, like they should be.
Exactly.
They are way better than their record indicates.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I thought it'd be fun to kind of look back at last year. Do you know what they were last year record-wise?
They were 12-4.
12-4.
12-4.
Tied with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Granted, they lost that divisional matchup, I think, at the end of the year, so the Chiefs were ahead of them. But yeah, and then they ended up losing to the Patriots in the AFC.
It had been the division game.
Yeah, right.
The division
41-28.
Yeah. So they are a very good team.
Yeah,
and
that was led by their defense that year.
Yeah.
Their defense, because they've got Joey Bosa.
Yeah.
And then Melvin Ingram.
Yeah.
Both of them on the sides are phenomenal.
Dude, they are a very, very, very good team.
Right.
And, I just spat off, I was touting about their offense. You know, their defense, like you said, is still incredible. And they've been plagued by some injuries.
Right.
But guess what? They're getting some guys back.
Yeah, they are.
And that was part of the reason why they lost those games earlier on in the season was because they had a bunch of folks injured.
Right.
And then you look at the other games that they lost. A lot of them were like lost in the last minute of the game.
Right,
the Broncos
exactly.
game, comes to mind because I watch it.
Right.
But they just choked time and time again in these very, very close games. They could easily, be a 10-3 team right now.
100%. Yeah. Quick pop quiz. How many kids does Philip Rivers have?
Oh my gosh, doesn't he have a full baseball team? I think he has 9, right?
He's got 9 kids. And we might not be done. I just wanted to see if you knew. I'm impressed. I'm going to give you a clap there for
these random football trivia things that I know. Yes, it comes in handy. But yeah, so I want to dive into the Chargers Broncos game.
Yeah.
So what
was the score, by the way?
The final score was 23-20.
Oh, that was a really good game.
And I'll tell you what.
Was that just the week prior?
It was the week prior to
okay.
Yeah. So it was. Man, I think was Drew Lock. He was starting for the Denver Broncos.
Yep.
So, I mean, they were down to their third string QB, and you see that, and you see also that the Chargers lose the game. You think, well, they're not a good team. Drew Lock played pretty well, and I think they won despite Drew Lock. He had some really good passes to Cortland Sutton. He had 2 touchdowns on the day. But if you look at that game. The story of that game wasn't necessarily how well Denver played. It was the 2, maybe 3 mistakes that the Chargers made. And it was not indicative of the rest of the way the Chargers played. So Philip Rivers threw a weird interception. He was throwing a screen pass to Austin Eckler, and it was intercepted by like a defensive lineman or something like that. And put the ball on the 20-yard line.
Was that a good defensive play or just a poor pass? Poorly executed. Well,
it was a pretty poor pass.
Pretty poor pass. Yeah,
I mean, it would have been. The pass would have got there. He just didn't see the defender.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Kind of like Kirk Cousins, wherever he does a screen, I swear to God, it's about to be picked.
Right. So anyway, so that gave the Denver the ball in the red zone. There was another situation where the Chargers muffed a punt.
Okay.
And that gave and the Broncos recovered, and that gave the Broncos the ball in the red zone.
And you just can't win doing that.
And on those 2 turnovers, the Broncos got 10 points off of those 2 turnovers.
Right.
And the final mistake that was the real nail in the coffin was the Chargers missed a field goal.
Oh, okay.
So had they not missed that field goal, they would have, the game would have been tied. So so that field goal that the Chargers made was towards the end of the game to tie the game, and there was only like 13 seconds left in the game, right? And they're thinking overtime, so they kick off. Dude runs it back to like the 30-yard line, and so there's now 8 seconds left on the clock or something like that,
right.
And the Drew Lock just throws a bomb, and the only point of that bomb was to draw the pass interference, which they did.
They got it,
and they were now in field goal range, and they kicked a walk-off field goal, so they just.
So it was 2020.
It was
at that point.
it was just it was
okay.
So it was 2020 at that point. So then the Broncos kicked a game-winning field goal, and
so that's what you mean by the.
So there were like 3 or 4 plays that just really buried them. But the Chargers I think the Chargers were the better team that day.
Right. Yeah, I believe it for sure. I didn't watch too much of that, so I guess I don't have much to talk on that one.
Talk about Jacksonville.
So the reason why I chose Jacksonville is because they are to analyze that game is because they are sitting at 5-8, right? So they're kind of scratching and clawing.
Yeah.
I haven't paid too much attention to the AFC. Are they just fighting for a wild card spot? Is that what's going on?
I don't even
here?
know if they're still in contention.
I don't pay much attention to that.
I can pull that up real quick.
Yeah, if you want to. So while it was a blowout, it was 45-10. I think what stuck out to me was that the Chargers were not afraid to take shots, regardless of how bad the score was being blown out. And so they heavily focused on Austin Eckler, who, by the way, led the team in receiving and rushing. So his what do I got here? I know. So Eckler had only 8 carries for 101 yards, and he had like 3 plays that the line just busted open, and Eckler just ran for it. His longest was 35. And then just let me quick talk about his receiving. So then he had 4 receptions for 112 yards. Granted, one of those was a screen, which you alluded to in the Broncos game too. So that was for 84 yards. So if there's anything that we need to watch out for, it's, I think, the screen game and Austin Eckler. We got to keep a close eye on him.
Dude, I think I heard a stat that Austin Eckler did what no other running back has done, and that's 100 yards receiving and 100 yards rushing. And don't quote me on that. That very well may be a thing. They might have just quoted some prolific guys like Barry Sanders or something like that. But that's something that not a lot of running backs do.
Right.
Austin Eckler is he's a force to be reckoned with.
And so what I want to say one more time too is that we alluded to the wide receivers, right? Phillip Rivers, we know he can huck the ball. He's got that really odd throw. Have you ever seen Peyton Manning try and like break down his arm throwing? It's not your typical, he kind of like throws it from his shoulder. Is how he lets the ball go. Yeah.
Interesting.
He really oddly lets it go. But they've got really good wide receivers, and there was like 3 plays where they just Phillip Rivers closed his eyes, just threw the ball, and Mike Williams came down with one that was like should have been like intercepted, but Lord knows how he came down with it. And then Keenan Allen also had a touchdown too.
Yeah.
But yeah. So point being, I think with them sitting at 5-8, they won't be afraid to just take shots.
They are eliminated from playoff contention at this point in time.
Okay, there you go.
They might not have been last week, but they are eliminated today. So, and it'll be interesting to see. I mean. And, Phillip Rivers is talking, maybe he plays for a new team next year.
Oh, right. Well, they're talking about Cam Newton coming to...
Right.
Which I think would be sweet.
But what I'm saying is this might be his time to sell himself. So he
for sure.
He might want to ball out as best he can. And same thing with Melvin Gordon. He's trying to get out of the Chargers.
Yep.
So he's trying to put his best film on tape right now. And... it's a dangerous time to be playing the Chargers.
And who doesn't love to play the upset story, huh?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there's no reason to calmly go into not San Diego, Los Angeles now.
Yeah.
And play them. So.
Yeah. And interesting point. So the Chargers have beaten 2 of our NFC North counterparts. They beat the Green Bay Packers, and I believe they beat it was the Lions. I think the Bears beat them.
Okay.
But yeah, so they're capable of beating good teams.
Right.
And so for me, in the Broncos game, the thing that really stood out to me on offense was their screen game.
Yeah.
They ran a lot of screens. The other thing that they were doing a lot of was, so they rely a lot on the run. So they had, they had 30 rushing attempts. Right. So, but what that did was they did a lot of play action where, they would, fake hand the ball off and Phillip Rivers would pull it back and throw the ball. Now, it wasn't like Kirk Cousins' play action where it's a play action boot.
Right.
He does more of just the fake hand off and pulls it back and then stays in the pocket. Phillip Rivers he's not a very mobile guy.
Right. And I'm really glad you actually brought that point up because as I was writing down, their key players, our key players, I was like, man, a lot of similarities here,
Yeah.
Even I guess obviously Kirk Cousins and Rivers are different players, but they're both NFL caliber players. You know what I mean? Whether Rivers is older now, but I'm saying they're caliber players. And then they got Eckler and Gordon, right? And we've got Cook and Madison. Allen and Williams for wide receivers.
Yeah.
Diggs and Thielen, which Thielen will be back. Thank goodness. And then they've got Hunter Henry, and we've got Rudolph and Irv Smith,
Yeah, and even on the defensive side of the ball, you have Joey Bosa versus Daniil Hunter.
Yeah.
I that was one thing that I really took away is our teams look a lot alike.
Extremely alike. The records don't show it, but...
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that Los Angeles is just a really good team.
100%.
And getting into the defense... a little bit. I kind of went over the offense, but looking at the defense, they played tight coverage on these really good Denver receivers all day.
Yeah, they did.
They were tight, and the touchdown passes that went to Cortland Sutton, they were in tight coverage. There's nothing else the defender could have done short of pass interference. You know?
Right.
And I just, man, they can stay on the guys. They play phenomenal man coverage. I think zone coverage is where they're weakest, and we're gonna have to be able to exploit that. But man, their man coverage is tight, and their pass rush is phenomenal.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, Joey and Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
Talk about just a pool of genetic gold mine.
Well, the thing that I notice about the both of them is that the key to winning on the offense on the line of scrimmage is being the low man, right?
Yeah.
And they just have this this stance about them where they're almost standing like at an angle.
Right.
You know,
and all that power is generated from their legs,
exactly.
right? And they just get a good push.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so they're standing at an angle, so they're lower than the offense line. And the offense linemen typically stand up when they go into pass protection. They're trying to hand fight there. But you know what? If they're coming out of their stance at that angle, and they're pushing, they're getting all that power, and then they're doing a move underneath, and they're getting underneath these linemen and around them.
And just to compare that to Danielle Hunter, because they're both such great players, but they're such different styles. Hunter is more of a stand up, and I've got such long arms that I'm just going to push you away and get you off balance, and then I'm going to run by you.
Exactly.
Whereas, like you were saying, the Bosa brothers and Joey in particular for this game, he just starts super low and gets all that power generated from his legs, and then gets around you. Yeah. This is going to be a fun game.
It's going to be a really fun game.
Yeah, and you know what makes it a little more fun? Do you have anything else?
No.
What's going to make it really fun is that the Packers and Bears play at noon.
Dude.
And then our game kicks off.
That Packers-Bears game is just as important to the Vikings as the Chargers-Vikings game.
And I'm going to reiterate what Sam said 2 episodes ago, in that he was rooting for the Bears, and the reason being was because now the Bears and the Packers both have their backs up against the wall, and this game is ever so more important.
So this isn't the Vikings necessarily last hope at winning the division,
right?
But this is the last the last real shot that the Vikings have at winning the division.
Is.
So Vikings fans, we are Bears fans this week.
Yes, we are.
We are big time Bears fans. So if the Bears win, then the Packers will have one divisional loss. Right. And then if the Vikings can overcome the Packers on the 23rd, then they'll have 2 divisional losses, as will the Vikings. And then it'll go down to strength of schedule and common teams played, and the Vikings will actually win based on common teams played.
Right.
So if the Bears do lose against the Packers, the Vikings' only hope is that the Lions can upset the Packers in Week 17, which it's not looking like that's going to be able to be the case.
Let's just take it a step by step. Let's just pray to God that Mitch Trubisky just turns into Peyton Manning. And he's just calling things at the line.
Well, my buddy Curtis, him and I were texting him, and he was saying that I said, let's hope that the Bears can beat your Packers, because then the 23rd will actually be for the division.
That'll be huge.
And he said Mitch Trubisky can't handle our pass rush, and I said, that's exactly what I said when the Vikings played him, and he couldn't. And he got injured.
Right.
And then the better of the 2 quarterbacks came off the bench.
Right.
So, man, it's going to be interesting.
So as we kind of go through, the noon matchups and then the 3 and then so forth, do you want to just do predictions for fun on each of these games that we're keeping an eye on? Okay, so what do you got for Packers Bears?
Dude.
So obviously, I just want to say, in no stretch of the imagination do I sit here and act like I know what's going to happen. I do not any sort of sports betting. I'm not God. I don't know anything when it comes to this. This is just a flip of the coin is how I might as well approach this.
Well, Pat, as an experienced sports gambler, let me tell you what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Sam really give his true insight because he's God. But
no, I have no idea.
We have no idea.
You do not want to see my gambling record this year. I think I've won like one of my 10 bets. So don't take any of my advice.
Okay, so we got Bears at Lambeau Field. What do you got for score?
Roquan Smith, man, he tore his pec.
Oh, he did. That does suck. Anytime a player goes down, it sucks.
And I think is Akeem Hicks. Is he coming back?
Hicks is back because I did a Packer fan going, oh, of course Akeem Hicks is back for us, and I'm like, well, you know what? Jadeveon Clowney came back for us in Seattle, and look what he did. So it's just the name of the game.
I'll tell you what, the Giants kept it very competitive against the Packers up until the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
the Redskins kept it very competitive. And the Bears are finding themselves again.
They are.
There's
fire.
Yeah, there's fire there, and there's a reason to play.
If Khalil Mack doesn't get more than 3 sacks in this game, because he's been kind of quiet this year. I don't know what teams are doing. I don't know if they're just doubling him up or what. But we need the Bears defense. If anyone's going to win this game, it's going to be the Bears defense.
I know.
So anyways, what do you got for just a random score prediction?
Oh, man.
If anything, let's just say we don't need to do scores. We can at least just say who we want to win or who we think is going to win.
I think the Bears are going to hold Packers to 10 points, and I think the Bears aren't going to score very many points. But I think they'll win the game with 13 points. And if I am a betting man, which I am, I would bet the under. And I never bet the under because I hate betting the under.
Yeah.
But if I'm a betting man, I'd take the under. I think the 2 defenses will win the day here.
So what you got? 13-10?
13-10
13-10. Okay. I was actually going to say that, but just for the sake of being different, I'm going to say 17-10 Bears.
17-10?
Yeah, and the reason why I'm hesitant is because it's hard for me to see Trubisky and that offense scoring 2 touchdowns. So deep down, I want to say 13-10. But anyway, so
all right,
we'll root for the Bears.
Some other games this week that have big Vikings implications. The Seahawks and the Panthers, and it's in Carolina.
It's in Carolina, yeah.
It's in Carolina. The Panthers are another team that's really good, but they just choke every week.
And who's the backup quarterback? I'm trying to
Kyle Allen.
Allen, that's right. He has had moments of.
He's had great moments.
He
almost beat the Packers.
Yeah, he has
in
really
Lambeau.
Great moments, right? So you know what, dude? I'm throwing an upset here.
Dude,
because this,
I love
were you
that
going to say the same thing?
I love that upset, and I'll tell you why. Because the Seahawks went and played the garbage Eagles like garbage away, and the Eagles almost came out with a win. I think the Panthers, they have a shot. If anything, they at least have a shot.
The Seahawks have been very up and down this year.
Yes.
Moments of greatness, moments of, do we know this team?
Right, because they just got blown up by the Rams.
Yeah. And if there's anything that the Carolina Panthers have to fight for, it's they just lost their coach. They're kind of, players are kind of fighting for next year at this point.
Absolutely.
Allen is fighting for next year. I could see, and we still got Luke Kuechly out there, and he's still a phenomenal defensive player. As a linebacker,
absolutely,
just being the general out there. So I'm gonna go Carolina with this one.
Carolina.
I'm going Carolina with the upset.
I think it's very possible. Do I think it's likely? No, but I think it's very possible. And here, my fingers crossed. The next game that has big implications is actually being played.
Out of curiosity, do you have the Seahawks or the Carolina Panthers?
If I'm a betting man, I'm betting on the Seahawks.
Okay,
but
so I'm going to take Carolina just for the sake of having hope. But anyways, what's the next one?
All right, so the next one is going to be played at the same time as the Vikings-Chargers game, and it's the Rams and the Cowboys.
This game is huge. Huge. Because
the Rams are only one game behind the Vikings.
They are grabbing our legs.
And they hold the tiebreaker between us. It's...
I have a pit in my stomach heading into this last little stretch.
And it's like we have to rely on the Cowboys.
I know, but the good news is it's in Dallas.
It's in Dallas. The Cowboys are a good... I don't know what's going on. They've statistically been the number one offense in football. I have no idea what's going on.
And Ezekiel Elliott is 5th in rushing in the league.
Yeah.
Which, you know what I mean? But the record just doesn't show it. And here's my concern about this game, Sam. Dak Prescott hurt his hand, and there's some concern with his hand from that last game. And I think Amari Cooper might be having some lingering injuries.
Yeah.
God forbid that both of those two aren't 100%, and then the Rams just come in there and stomp them.
Honestly, dude, I think that, right now the Vikings control their own destiny.
They do. That's what's most important. You can't sit here and rely on other teams. You just need to go out and win. That's what probably Zimmer's teaching and preaching.
Exactly.
Don't focus on the other games. We can't control those.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice to get a little bit of breathing space.
All right. I'm going to say it. Cowboys are going to win.
Pat, you're just hoping all the stars align.
Okay, Sam, you know
there's
what's funny?
There's no way the Cowboys win this game.
You know what's funny is
the Eagles are taking control of the NFC East this week.
I just had an observation here. So at the beginning of the year, when we were sitting at 2-2, I was all doom and gloom. Everything was sad. I was like, the season's a wrap, you know? You were all sunshine and rainbows. Now I'm all everything is gonna go our way, Sam.
Pat, I've just lost so much money this year gambling.
Don't gamble.
I can't.
Are you gambling this week?
No.
Okay, don't gamble. This is just we're hopeful. Anyways, I've got the Cowboys winning this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have the Rams winning it.
You do. That's fair. The next one
is 49ers and Falcons. Now, this game is just as important to the Vikings as the Seahawks. I think
it really is.
The Seahawks and the Niners are kind of looking at each other. They're both making the playoffs.
Yeah.
There's no chance they don't. They're just trying to see who wins the NFC, the NFC West. The real important thing for the Vikings here is, can we get the better of one of these two teams and just sneak into that 5th seed if we can't win the NFC North?
Right.
So that's why we're looking at these. So we're Falcons fans this week.
If I can say anything though, Sam, I want us to obviously make the playoffs, but if there's anything I want more, it's I don't want the Packers in that 2 seed.
I know.
There is no reason, Sam, that they have a bye week calmly heading into that second round of the playoffs at home.
Dude.
Even worse, against probably the Seahawks or the Cowboys. And bypassing the Niners and the Saints and us.
Yeah.
There is no reason.
Yeah.
I will forever have a grudge against the NFL gods if that is how this lines up.
You know what? The NFC West is going to get the number 1 seed, and even if the Packers win, they'll have to go out west.
I don't care. I don't like it.
And they'll just get annihilated.
Just listen, here's how I view this. You give Rodgers just a glimmer of a hope, and the rest of those players are going to elevate to levels that we haven't seen this year.
Yeah.
That's how it's going to go.
Yeah. All right, so the last game that has some NFC playoff implications is on Monday night, Colts and Saints.
Yeah.
And
that's another big one.
It's another big one.
Hey, you can't sleep on Jacoby Brissett, Miles Hines, and these Colts.
I love the Colts.
Yeah.
I freaking love the Colts.
Yeah, I do like them too. You know what's great about that division is that, if I'm not mistaken, it's pretty neck and neck. Let me pull it up actually.
Dude, the Texans just lost.
The Texans just lost.
Here, I'm
pull
pulling
up
it
the
right
standings. I got it's like half minimized. It's all messed up
Yeah.
looking. It should be pretty much neck and neck. There's no reason that those guys aren't going full on out.
Dude, the Texans are 8-5.
Okay.
The Titans are 8-5.
Oh, hello.
And the Texans have the tiebreaker be with division wins. They're 3-1 in the division. The Titans are 2-2.
Where are the
in
Colts
division.
at?
The Colts are at 6-7.
Okay, so they're a couple games back, but
the Colts are also 3-2 in the division.
see,
So anything can happen.
can go on here.
A lot can happen. So yeah, I think the Colts are definitely have something to play for. Sorry, everyone.
It's been very cold in Minnesota lately.
I know. The air is very dry. But yeah, and I think they could get the better of the Saints.
So
if I'm betting on any upset this week that has NFC playoff implications,
that's your upset.
This is my upset.
I don't got that one. I got Drew Brees is going to calmly go.
Drew Brees.
Oh, easy peasy. No, easy
no,
peasy.
Drew
Michael
Brees
Thomas, easy peasy.
Drew Brees will have just as many interceptions as touchdowns. And then those interceptions will go to players that aren't Michael Thomas. And then he's just going to try to force Michael Thomas.
You're giving me flack for the upsets I got. And that's the bold prediction you have?
Dude.
Oh, my goodness, Sam. Well, if you do make it this far, we personally love it when you give predictions. Just comment on one of our Instagram posts or on our Facebook. If there's anything I do say, I would love more interaction from the people who do watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just comment on anything.
If you guys have like playoff implication questions, questions about who are we rooting for this week, and in terms of how does it help the Vikings, we would love to answer those questions.
And if there's anything that we can do better to make it more interactive, and lately, and the reason why I'm saying this because we've had people reaching out to us, and it brightens my day.
Yeah.
And there was even somebody, I'm going to pin him in here, who sent us he did his own like sketch of a Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Again,
dude, that was awesome.
That was sweet.
Sick.
Yeah.
We should post that on our feed.
We will post that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will say, so everyone's going to leave the podcast here. I've never seen Star Wars.
Oh my God. I am currently in the process of going through all of the movies.
Wait, how far are you?
So let me tell you. So I'm doing it in a bit of a pseudo machete order.
Because maybe I should watch it with you, because I've been dying to. I just don't watch it.
If you're a Star Wars geek like me, you'll know what the machete order is. So I started with the Solo movie, the Han Solo movie. Then I watched Rogue One last night. Then my plan is I'm gonna watch A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and before I get to Return of the Jedi, I'm gonna go all the way back to Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith. Conclude with Return of the Jedi, and then The Force Awakens.
So I did see one of the movies. What movie came out in like 2016, 2017? Was that New Hope?
Dude, The Last Jedi.
Oh, was it The Last Jedi?
Freaking sucked, dude.
Okay, maybe that's
easily
the worst movie. It was when I graduated college. But anyways.
Anyway, so yeah, we'll post it in the feed. The Mandalorian's awesome.
And great sketch work from, I can't remember, his name is, I can't remember what it was. But
speaking of great sketch work, there is an artist on the Minnesota Vikings.
Who?
Pat, you haven't noticed this whole episode we've both been wearing his... For fans that haven't
We're both sitting too tall.
Yeah.
So we're going to add Dalvin Cook. So this was a little fundraiser that he did. So he was selling merchandise for $33.33, and it was to... I'll double check what fund it was. I think it's too late to order them now.
Yeah.
But anyways,
it was just
Dalvin Cook. We just want you to know that we went out. We bought sweatshirts. I also bought a beanie. That did not come in the box that I ordered. So I'm gonna have to email somebody about that or get my money back. But
all right,
wrap her up.
Join us next time on Diggs.sideline.podcast. We'll be reviewing the Vikings-Chargers game, and Pat, after that, it's gonna be the Packers game. And I think we have something pretty fun in store for the listeners for the Packers game. So
I hope we do.
Until then. Skull Vikings.
Thanks, guys.